at this time, I would like to welcome to the podium our two of the four representatives from Poco. So why don't you both come up here? They're both gonna be here at the same time because this is very strong. So introduce yourselves again, and we'll begin.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dee Dee. So I'm Doris Wakeman.
And I'm Francisco Nava. And we're part of a foursome. We're part of a foursome along with Kari, Higgins, and Laura Michaels. And we are the steering committee for Poco a Poco San Pedro Itzican.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, please know that we are very grateful. Know that we're very grateful for your time today and your space and your energies and your attention. So we have prepared a PowerPoint presentation, which you'll see on the screens left and right of us. And yes.
Hold up, we're going to give you each a microphone.
Okay.
Leave the red one to
Okay. Yes, better. Okay, thank you. Tech team.
Hello.
So Poco a Poco San Pedro, an update on what we are up to as of October 2023.
So San Pedro is that way. It's about an hour from Walmart. It's on the shores of Lake Chapala where the mountain is very steep and meets the shore, and it's one of a series of small villages called Villages of the Original People.
And where we are right now is way over here. And then you go this way, you pass the towns, you get to a town called Mezcala, which you might be familiar with. And then you keep on going to all these little villages east of there. And that's where we focus our time and our attention and our work. Okay, so the town of San Pedro is in the municipality of Poncitlan, which is right next to the municipality of Chapala going east. But it's a very impoverished area, all the villages. And so we see a lot of garbage everywhere, and there's very limited garbage collection. We think we have problems with garbage here. It's nothing like their problems there.
So on your way to San Pedro, you'll notice the roads are very narrow, and a lot of families don't have cars or means of transportation. They use the buses a lot that pass down the main road from Poncitlan, the city of Poncitlan, all the way to Chapala. We have 1 second. Okay, so fishing has been a major industry and food source for the people along the lake there, especially in San Pedro, but the pollution and overfishing has caused the lake to have fewer and fewer fish, and so it's not providing enough protein for the communities anymore. They've also done a lot of farming historically, particularly of corn and chayote. They have plots on the mountain, way up the mountain, that are hard to get to or down by the lake. And that's also getting very difficult. The weather there is more severe than it is here because of their proximity to the mountain. So the water comes pouring down the mountain, takes off the topsoil, and all kinds of things give them extra challenge.
Okay, and there's very limited employment in these villages. A lot of the adults have to leave the villages to come to work here in our areas or in Guadalajara. Some go to Jocotepec to work on the berry farms, which means that they leave their homes, a lot of them for the week, and the children and the elderly are left unattended. Many women work in factories, as I said, in Guadalajara and different areas. So the kids have to look after each other and after each other's and run. When we first got there, they were running wild in the streets. It's a street of urchins. And then 40% of the households are headed by women with no support from husbands or partners.
Yeah. The schools are too small. Anita calls it her mountain of children, and now we know why. So one of the famous problems or infamous problems of the area of San Pedro is the chronic kidney disease of unknown cause. And we've lost young people from the ages of 2 to 30, 37 fairly regularly. So there's been a lot of discussion about what's causing the kidney disease, and some people blame this and others blame that. But we believe that it's a multifactorial problem for them. And the combination of lack of clean drinking water, pollution from the lake, working in factories, having pesticide all over your father's clothes. Malnutrition is a huge one. There's more dengue there. There's a lot more scorpion bites, and both of those are really hard on your kidneys. And there could also be, in some cases, there's a genetic factor, but genes get triggered. Just because you have a gene doesn't mean you're going to have blue eyes or whatever, but things get triggered. So that's where we're at with on the kidney disease side, and we're doing a lot of things to help with that.
And the way we connected with these villages was through an amazing woman named Anita Torres Guerrero, who is originally from the state of Nayarit. She was brought up in the Sierras. Her grandfather is a Waririka, a Huichol.
Subsistent farmer.
Subsistent farmer as well. And so when we started going out there taking donations, because we heard that they were in very much need, we met with her, and she was running a youth brigade program in conjunction with the firefighters of the state of Jalisco. And the head of the firefighters and she got together and said, well, these are villages that need help. How can we help them? And they're forgotten villages. They're known as the forgotten villages because the government hasn't done anything for them. People didn't even know that they were there most of the time. And so that's why we started Poco a Poco.
So what do? We do lots of different things. We're not like other organizations that have a focus point. Thank goodness for them. But because we're helping these people in this community to improve their community, our work is very diverse. So we do things from helping feed kids to organizing and running programs to educate people, to provide financial support for those that are going to school and beyond, and to post-secondary education. We provide medical support, medicine. We support some people with their dialysis. We garden. We are presently building a community center for them on land that's been designated for that purpose. So we do a lot of different things.
So we also work in conjunction with a lot of other ACs or nonprofits here in Mexico. At last count, 30 organizations have joined our causes, have joined our efforts. We started with a few when we began this project 6 years ago. That's when we started working with Anita. These are just some of the organizations that we work with. You may have heard of some, maybe not of others, but they all are integral in our work, and they help us provide what the communities and the people need out there.
Can we just stay on that slide for a second? So that, here at Lakeside, we all know about Niños Incapacitados. They're helping a lot with our kids, and we ferry the money and the receipts back and forth for them. Shriners is on the same line as Lila K, but Shriners is helping with orthopedic surgery and has sent some of our kids to Mexico City. Lila K Foundation is focusing on renal disease and dental health. So dental health and renal disease are very closely linked, and we'll have more on that later. And then the Foundation Violet is also focused on dental health and also putting a lot of effort into helping us finally become an association civil this winter. And so Bebe Yo is from here, and Tepewa probably. We've been trying to model ourselves on them. And the college on the Libramento comes out and teaches reading and they're book writing right now with the people in San Pedro, helping them to create their traditional cookbook. And so there's good interaction between the students that have come from a better financial environment with the kids and the seniors in San Pedro. And Work, Play, Love is a big help to us, and we'll tell you about that also later. But we're grateful for all being able to work with so many groups.
Okay, so Anita is part of our organization, and she was really the key. She mines these networking relationships with people, tells them what we do, says that they can help us here or there, and that's where the connections are made. So Anita is pivotal to the work that we do. And since then, other government organizations have become involved with us. And we've brought attention to these towns, the forgotten towns, by the work that we do. So the media has started to take notice. We've had articles in Guadalajara Reporter, The Ojo, The Informador. All the papers in Guadalajara now have noticed that these towns need help. And so they're sending more and more assistance. It's still slow, but at least it's moving forward, and that's what we wanted.
So we're fundraising to build a community center right now, and some people who might ask, why would you build a community center? There's already a government building there, and we're using the government buildings right now. But there's a problem with being consistent, and the government building that was that was completed in 2016 in San Pedro was never opened until 2021. And so it's a government thing, and it's hard to count on things from the government. So we're preparing for the next election next year. We want to make sure we have a space to work from. The government is also complicated, and the buildings lack sufficient electricity, sufficient gas, sufficient running water. They stink. They're not perfect. So we're trying to create something that the people in San Pedro can count on. And this is this community center. It's Indigenous land. We got the land because because we've designated it to be used in perpetuity to help the community. And so
Anita was pivotal in that part too.
Yeah.
She became an honorary member of the Indigenous community last year. And because she did, we now had the opportunity to ask for the land from the Indigenous Committee to be used for this purpose. If you go, if any of us go there trying to rent a house, buy property, it's not allowed. You have to be part of the Indigenous community in order to do that. Because Anita now is an official member, because she's been working there for 12 years, to benefit all these communities, they gave her that honor. And through her, we were able to ask for the land, which was granted to us. And that's where we're building our community center. And these are some of the, on the box here, this is just a week's view of the programs that run out there. It's a little hard to see, but we're doing pharmacy, we're doing kids' kitchens, we're doing special needs programs, we're doing education online, we're doing Zumba class for niños. That's just on Monday. That's just on Monday, and it keeps going on. So as you can see, the schedule is very full because there's a need, and we have a lot of things that we want to accomplish there.
And she's constantly recruiting volunteers. So in the 6 years, another reason to have our own community center is because in the last 6 years, we've had 5 different office locations. And so spaces are found, they're loaned to Poco. They take a lot of cleaning and fixing up. And then before long, there's a reason why the owners need them back. And so it's been like tiring to do this 5 times. So that's another reason why we want to create a permanent community center for the town.
And so we were fortunate enough to connect with another spirit, another angel named Nacho. He's the head of the architectural program for the Tech University of Monterrey. And they have an amazing campus in northern Guadalajara. northern part. And so we went, met with him. He said that his last year students needed a project and they wanted to know if they could help us design the community center. So they've been working constantly throughout the year and finally came up with 26 final designs which were presented to us, and we kept whittling those down until we found one that we think is the most effective, the most beautiful, the one that will service the community best. And this is the design. It's coming. This is the design, the final design that we settled on. And our lot is at an elevation. It's at an angle. And so what we need to do is build one level, a retaining wall, a second level, and then eventually some third level offices. And so the lot has been challenging for everybody concerned, but we're moving forward. We have this space here. We have 2 warehouses on the ground floor now. This is the kitchen for the kids' kitchen program. All the kids will come and eat here. We service 120 children a day, 5 days a week. And so there's a great need for good nutrition, and that's why we focused on that. So this will be the first level, first thing we build, and then we'll go here, and then eventually there, and then eventually have the whole thing working.
So we've got this large multi-purpose room. So the pictures are a week behind, or maybe 2 weeks behind. So we've got this large multi-purpose room here. It's 4 meters by 8 meters. And that was the first thing we built. We needed a dry place to store all the stuff when we had to give up our last office. And then this now is the kitchen. It's built up to the roof. They've actually started on the roof, and it's going to have a huge roller door so that we can pass food through and have lessons, kitchen lessons right there. I went off script, so I hope I didn't miss anything. Okay, so this is a 10,000-liter water cistern. So in San Pedro, they don't really have running water in very many streets, and this is one of them. And so that cistern is now down that brick hole that you see here, and is full of water and is working. And as you go back towards the lake here, there's a biodigester installed and a weeping area for the septic system. And that's all done.
And
We
then,
have to thank, oh, sorry, that's on
oh
this.
no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's St. Andrews at the bottom.
Okay, so our biodigester, our septic system, our cistern, they're all in place now. It's going to be connected. A lot of times we have to buy water because there's no water out there for several days. So we buy pipas, we buy trucks with the big water trucks, and they fill in what we need. St. Andrews Outreach Program helped us with some of the funding for this phase, which is what we consider our infrastructure, the basic things that you need in order to build the building to make it serviceable.
So water is a big deal. Even in the town of San Pedro, they go without water for like days on end. And all the water they got in the first place was a bucket or two this big, you know? And so for the whole town, there's shortage of water. So
here we have, we're looking from the street level here, which is going to cover this area here. And then this is the first, the retaining wall we finished, the bodega or the multi-purpose room, and then the kitchen now is built here in this area. And so that's kind of where we are right now with our project as far as building. We build as we can raise funds. So we've designed the build in phases because we knew that funding was going to come in phases.
So that's a view from street level and sloping down towards the lake. I think we've covered that, so let's keep going. So they were digging everything by hand and finding huge boulders and chipping them with picks. And so we bought one of those jackhammers, that's what we call them, jackhammers, and it cost a lot of money, but we thought that once we're done, we'll be able to sell it and recoup some of that money. So that's working out really well.
Some of the boulders are as high as the ceiling and half as wide as this room. And so when you're digging down and trying to put a 10,000 liter tank into that ground and you hit one of these, pickaxes are not going to do it, even though they have done it, but it takes a long time and it's also a lot of cost. So this is going to help us greatly, and then we hope to recoup the investment of 32,000 pesos. When we're done with it, we can sell it to somebody else who might need it. Yeah.
Anita keeps it in her living room when it's not in use. It's true.
You can't have legs and fly away or walk away. So what's next? Okay, we started building the kitchen at the lower level, and then we need wheelchair. In order to get from the top level, street level down, we're going to have a ramp for wheelchair accessibility and ease of movement of materials. We're going to build a covered outdoor dining area space so that the kids can have shade when they're sitting having their meal every day. And 120 kids coming out every day, what do you need? You need a toilet. And one that works really well and hopefully can accommodate at least 120 kids, plus whatever other clients are going to come during that day to the community center when it's done. So when we think of things like this, we think industrial strength. We think commercial. We think capacity. And so that's what we're doing right now.
Once the kitchen is finished, a chef will begin teaching cooking classes. We've been really lucky recently to have encountered a chef, a National Geographic chef that's been all over the world working with Indigenous people, and so he knows that, and he knows commercial cooking from hotels and things where he's also worked, and so he's designing our kitchen right now. And I already said that next one, so you can keep going. So what else we've been doing? Well, there's Anita, and she has saved up some money and bought a piece of land. And just to put it in perspective, Anita's lot cost 80,000 pesos, and our community center lot cost 150,000 pesos. So land is cheaper out there than it is here. We've had a lot of support to help build her house. We did some fundraising, some GoFundMe fundraising, and was absolutely overwhelmed by recent donations from the house of Chris and Colleen that they were clearing out, and so she got a beautiful bedroom set for the first time in her whole life. It was really something.
Anita has been like our office spaces. They've allowed her to live in different places because she does service for the community, but then she gets moved again. And so she's been bouncing around like we have out there. And so for her to have her own house, for her to have her own land, for her to have a permanent place where she's not going to be displaced was as important to us as she is to us. So I call her Santa Anita because she really is a saint. She really is a saint. And she's one of my favorite people in the whole world. So we wanted to introduce you to her.
So there's the house from the street. And so she also has a mission to help people become entrepreneurs in the community, to bring for their economic development. And one of the first things she did with the house is she started a garden in front. It's a little vivero, and she's already sold some plants out of it. And so Anita leads by example. Her motto was to help others to improve their life, like while improving my own life, help others to improve my life. So she's modeling self-improvement. She doesn't let anybody play what she calls the victim card. And so she's constantly trying to model that through her own hard work.
And we're plant spirits, she and I. We both live and breathe nature and plants. And so whenever there's any seed donations, whenever there's any plant donations, Laura's constantly taking those out to her as soon as they become available, because she just loves growing. And so here's another picture of her. Now, because we built this house for her, and she has a very big, long terraza in front, covered, which you're seeing here, we have the kids' kitchen working right now at her house. So once again, her bathroom was not designed for 120 kids a day, but she's doing marvelously with that. And she has, because of her contacts and because people donate to her food, things that we need, she's been able to keep that kitchen going and keep those kids fed. We provide, Poco provides gas drinking water, water for hand washing and cleanup, and the weekly stipend for a cook. There's one cook there that helps Anita. And we do this from our donations, or the money that we raise. And it's constantly going out as quickly as it comes in. So we're trying to replenish it as best we can.
So we divided up. There's 120 kids a day, and some are coming for breakfast, and some are coming for lunch. And yeah, we could do the next slide, please. So we're doing a lot of other things too. There's a lot of administration and accounting and social media work, and we work with the school. The auxiliary nurses are attending, and that's a lot of work to try to keep that straight and payments straight and extra payments and extra things. And we are working a lot on grant requests. Kari's working really hard on grant requests these days, both to support our running costs and our building project. So we also collect a lot of donated items, and we sell them here, and some of the bazaars here have been very good to us. Kind of Bazaar, Todo Bueno, Mia's have been huge helpers, huge supporters. As well, we have a store in San Pedro. So in San Pedro, there's a thrift store where donated items from here and from Mexicans who bring them from other places get sold. And that money is used to supply hemodialysis, other medical needs, adult diapers. It supplements the kids' kitchens with money for protein, all that kind of stuff. And it pays a salary to the 1 or 2 women who work there.
Some of the programs that we're involved with, special education programs, both in San Pedro and Mezcala, for children and young adults, those go on 4 days a week.
This is the special education program in Mezcala. And the gal in the middle, that's Laura Rico. She's Mexican, and it's always really wonderful when you get bilingual volunteers. And she's magic with the kids, and the kids are incredible. They learn with us through play and through crafts and through special educational stuff. We're lucky to have 2 volunteers that are actually American retired special education teachers.
We provide ESL classes. This is David Ellison, and he and a group of volunteers give English courses to the people there. Children, adults, older people, whoever wants to learn, they come to the classes. He's been doing this now for 6 years. So, you know, he's also a godsend because he's consistently there overseeing the program. When kids don't show up, he knows, and he tells us, and we go back and ask the kids what's going on, you know. So we've got a good communication network.
Our jewelry program has been going on for a long, long time in various forms and with different people, but at the moment it is booming. We have an incredible jewelry teacher, Mary Ellen Rushworth. Maybe some of you remember her store on Galliana. And she managed to get an agreement with a company called Barsh Jewelry. They were looking at moving their manufacturing out of China, and she convinced them to give the people of Mezcala and San Pedro a chance. They just delivered 141 pairs of earrings to Barsh, who's delivering them to Dillard's Jewelry chain in the United States, and there'll be 1 pair in 141 stores in the South. The people in the program earned 35,000 pesos for making the earrings, which are complicated and take about 4 hours a pair. And now Martha Stewart wore a pair of earrings a few weeks ago on TV, and we were asked to quickly make a sample of those. So we did, and we expected that to be our next order and for sales for Mother's Day. But meanwhile, one of the Barsh's other suppliers fell through, and Mary Ellen WhatsApped the team and said, do you want to take this on? We have to make about 250 pairs of earrings in just under 3 weeks. And they said, we'll work 8 hours a day. And so it's incredible how that's proceeding. And thank God for the volunteer.
The students, the people who are learning the jewelry program, had to invest their time. They didn't get paid until their product was delivered, and then we got paid for that. So they had faith that they were going to learn, that it was going to be successful, and this is the first time they got payment. And they all went home with thousands of pesos that they had earned, and they learned to do this and continue it. So this is one of those examples of industry staying in town, not having to go to Guadalajara or Jocotepec to make money. This is what we want to see more of, so that the people are more independent. It's one of the first things they asked for when we first went out there, because we went out and said, what do you want to see? What do you need? And they said, industry, so that we don't have to leave our children and our families, that we can all be together. So this is a bright, shining beacon that it can be done, and it can be done well, and everybody can benefit.
So we have been helping 6 young people complete the auxiliary nursing program here in Chapala. It's a hard program, it's long, and it requires not only a year and a half of classes on once a week, but also about 658 volunteer hours to get their practical and social workings experience. Their practical work only counts if it's in designated, thank you, Laura, designated facilities. This has been very financially challenging for them, because they have had to, pay buses every week from San Pedro to Chapala and many other things.
Uniforms, shoes, materials, that they're required to have in order to learn.
Even the certification costs a mint, because they're 7,000 just to get the after you've done the whole schooling, you have to pay the government 7,000 pesos to get your certification. So a big part of that has been work, play, love, and they sponsored 4 of the students for most of the expenses that they've incurred, and also not just sponsoring school fees, but they've also participated in sponsoring stipends. So they're currently funding 2 people who help Anita with programs and a cook.
And in this picture, you see 4 students, 1 cook, Kim and Janet, who are helping lead the charge. And this young man here, Luis Miguel, is actually a kidney transplant success story. And he's also in the jewelry program. He also helps wherever is needed. He's a shining star, and just the brightest soul you could ever meet. Yes, he's in the jewelry he's one of our best jewelry makers.
He's the best jewelry maker, actually. So this is one of the things so the Lila K Foundation, one of the big strengths for us is Anita's ability to recruit other organizations to help, and our own too here at Lakeside. And so the Lila K Foundation is, we mentioned them earlier, and here is one of the nursing students, Olga, assisting the dentist that they provide, and she's getting, and her hours are counting towards the auxiliary nursing program.
And then, aside from feeding the children and all the people in San Pedro, like everybody else, they have mascots, they have pets. And when you don't have enough food for yourself, how are you going to feed your pets? So we also partner with Pet Food Bank Lakeside, who periodically sends pet food, and then we take it and it gets distributed in all the communities for the kitties and the chickens and the dogs and whatever else they have out there.
So this is food being distributed to the community. So a lot of the donated food gets sent out in the form of dispensas to some of those small communities we showed you along the lake. It's not a handout. The people that are most in need, the families that are most in need, are invited to attend to be part of that. Quite often it means that there has to be a community activity like a cleanup, or you clean up this arroyo, or you take all the, they get together the day before the dispenses and they work on their town. So it's just this whole building a spirit of volunteerism. That
it's one of our opening creeds, We believe in a hand up, not a handout. And so Anita always expects people, when they get something, to also give back to the community.
So there's a lot of thanks to go out to organizations like Food Bank Lakeside and Rotary Club and Mia's Boutique, and we could go on and on. This is an example of what it takes to get food. So here's lads, they get monthly, the kids' kitchens get provided with a bag of powdered milk once a month from an organization, but it takes 3 organizations to make that happen. The Fundación Vamos Mexico provides the milk, then the Foundation Apinsa provides for the shipping costs, and then Quiera Hacer delivers it to San Pedro.
Okay, so what are we spending all these wonderful pesos that we've raised on? We help pay IMSS fees for 2 people. It's 1,400 pesos each month. That allows them to receive medicine and treatment from IMSS and get on a transplant list, because eventually, if they do need that, they'll already be in the loop, if you will.
Pastor?
We pay 3,150 pesos a week for hemodialysis for the other young parents who cannot get IMSS coverage, and without that help, they would not get treated and most likely die. And we work closely with these organizations to make all this happen.
Okay, Francisco, we've been told we have to speed it up.
Okay.
By one of our own, so let's get it going. Okay, so this is...
What are we spending money on?
So this is pharmacy. So we keep a pharmacy and we supply needed medicines. We get medicines donated. We get grants to buy medicines. And also vitamins, prenatal supplies. Next slide. Yeah. Scorpion stings.
Scorpion stings are a big thing out there. There are a lot of scorpions, especially the children are very vulnerable because they're out and about. They get stung. If there's no anti-venom, they get sick, some of them die, or they have to be rushed to Guadalajara or wherever else they can get treatment. So it's not an immediate emergency reaction. So we're very grateful to people who do programs suffering, they suffer from dengue out there because there's a lot of water retention after rains, and they're not even aware that it's pooling, and that's where the mosquitoes breed. And we're also grateful to Crecer. Crecer is an outcrop of our plant growing efforts. And Crecer, which is also known as Grow, Create, Believe, they are working to educate the people how to grow healthy food, how to take care of themselves, how to do permacultural theory sometimes if that's needed in what they're trying to do. So that's their focus and their effort. So we thank them. And then we also have food for the kids' kitchens, which we've talked about. Running expenses like gas, drinking water, blah, 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 blah. Extra support for the auxiliary needed. So all of these we've covered in our presentation.
One of our big expenses is we run a truck. We have a Toyota Hilux out there, and yeah, so it gets used a lot every single day, and so that's one of our big expenses, and it's just absolutely essential for the work.
Gas, car insurance, maintenance,
Clutch, tires,
all that stuff, we have to put into the mix. And these are some of the organizations that we work very, very closely with. And so we thank them all for helping us help the people out of San Pedro. And we're going to do more, working more closely with them and getting new people to work with. So I think that's our presentation, yeah?
We really rely a lot on monthly donations to help us with our regular expenses. And we work hard to work with the local bazaars, and thank you very much for all the things you bought this morning. That's been brilliant from checking out our table. Next slide, please. So we have a pledge campaign going right now. It's called the Matching Funds. There's been 2 very generous donors between them. There's $20,000 US coming in for our building fund, and potential $20,000, so we're looking to match that. So if you feel like doubling your donation because of the matching fund program, then, or if you know anybody who might feel like this is something they want to take part in. Next slide, please. There's Anita. So she's an important part of our steering committee. And the next
Oh,
slide.
look, that's us. Okay.
Yeah. And the next slide. Thank you very much. So this is, just to give you an idea of what we spend every week in San Pedro, and this doesn't include building. This is just the stipends for 3 people, the drinking water, the other expenses, the kids' kitchen, medical supplies, filling the cistern. That's not a weekly thing, but if you divide it by the number of weeks in a year, these are the costs you get for CFE, cooking gas, cell phone, internet, the IMSS, and the truck expenses. We're at about 13,000 pesos a week.
Or $730 a week. And trust me, we really do try to save as much money as
Yeah.
we can. Because Doris is always telling us we have to stop spending money, even though we try not to. So, but it's all working, it's all growing. We've grown leaps and bounds from when we started with this one idea of helping as much as we could. And now we are creating this network of people who help support us. So thank you for listening to us today. Thank you for supporting us.
There's one more slide, I think.
One more slide. Let's see. No, that's it. You just want one more, that's all. Thank you all.